Today I am talking about the matrix that we all live in, and I'm going to explain to you how you can bust out of it. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, this video is probably for you, so be sure to keep watching. What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen. I am a spiritual life and business coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and whether this is your first time or your 17th time, I'm so thrilled to have you here. If you don't know me and what this is all about, basically it is my mission to help expand your consciousness and help you step into the strongest version of you ever. So I create videos every single week that are going to help you to do that. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, then be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Today, we are talking about the matrix and how to bust out of it. And you might be wondering right now, what on earth is Jen talking about? Am I talking about the movie? Actually, funny story, the movie The Matrix 4 is actually filming here in Berlin right now, and that means Keanu Reeves is nearby. I have not managed to run into him. However, this video is not about that. This video is about the matrix that we all live in. And I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory about what that is and why it's so important for you to bust out of it. So we have all seen the Matrix movie, probably. It's a really wonderful movie. If you've never seen it, you probably should see that, especially if you are a spiritual type of person. And basically, this movie is all about Neo waking up from the reality that he thought he lived in and stepping into this sort of new world and new reality. And basically, that is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to teach you how to start disengaging with life the way you think it is, so that you can step into your power and to truly embody the person who you were meant to be. So what is the matrix? Basically, what I'm talking about here is our belief as humans in limitations. And by the time you've become an adult, you have definitely run into your fair share of limitations. We are told to limit ourselves all the time, all throughout our childhood. We are told that we are not this kind of person, we're not smart enough, we're not creative enough, we're not hardworking enough, we're not athletic enough, we're not tall enough, we're not skinny enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not whatever enough. By the time you have become an adult, you have been given a lot of these limitations. And the thing that I really want you to know is that those limitations really are holding you back. These are the things that are actually tripping you up and preventing you from living your best life and living up to your true potential here on earth. So you were born into this world as a spiritual being having a human experience, but you have this limitless potential. You have the ability to do so many things in this life, yet how many of us are opting into the easy way? We think that we have to stay in the town that we were born in, that we have to go work one job for the rest of our lives, that we need to do life in a certain order, even when those things are not feeling good to us, when they're not lighting us up, when they're not making us happy. Basically, unless you do this spiritual work or this personal development work of getting really clear on what is true for you and what is possible for you, you are going to opt into the matrix. You are just going to be living there by default, seeing your limitations, being ruled over by fear and scarcity. So what I'm going to talk about today is going to help you to bust through that myth, because it really is just a myth that we are opting into. But you can trade in those beliefs and those limitations for something else. When we start to opt into abundance and love, we end up opening doors to new things, and therefore we expand our world, our consciousness, and the planet all at the same time. So before we get into how to do that, let's talk about how these limitations came to be, what they look like, where they came from, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to talk about these things kind of as conspiracy theories, but when I use the word conspiracy theory, I don't mean that I think that there's a certain cabal of evil people in the world that are creating these things for us. I think that these things have evolved over time. I think that there's definitely negative influences behind them, but I'm not doing a witch hunt and trying to go after whoever's behind this stuff. So let me just put that out there to begin with. However, I do think a lot of these things are baked into our culture, into our society. And we are so ingrained with these ideas that we don't even see how limiting they are. And that's exactly why I think it is so important to talk about this stuff. And I did a video very similar to this part a few weeks back, so I will link that here. Okay, so the first influence that is keeping you trapped in the matrix is the schooling system. So of course, we all were sent to school, we all probably graduated, but we went to school year after year, day in and day out, with the intention or with the idea that we were being taught something that was going to help us to get a job and become a productive member of society, right? The thing is, this school complex and the way that school is created and the way that we go to school in this modern age was actually created way back in the industrial era. And it was created to create a sea of factory workers. That is why when you go to school, there is a bell. You are going to eat lunch at certain times and respond to a bell and to do certain things in certain orders according to a random bell. Like that is setting you up to go do this in a factory, which at one point in time, a factory was like cutting edge. This is where we need people to be, right? Obviously though, how many of us grew up to work in an actual factory? Factory jobs were some of the first to get outsourced either to other countries or actually have even those jobs completely taken away and gone over to automation. So there's not as many kids that are coming out of school these days that are actually going to use this factory worker mentality in their life to create money. But we are still sending our kids to these schools that create this way of thinking, this way of do what you're told, hand things in on time. We are told that there's always somebody in charge of us and that we need to learn things in a certain order and that we shouldn't be listening to our instincts or getting creative or, you know, learning about anything that is not on the curriculum. There's several problems with this. The first problem is that it teaches us how to be good boys and good girls and follow the rules. And while there's nothing really inherently wrong with that, we live in a brave new age. And like I said, the factory jobs have gone away. We are in a whole brand new economy that our schooling system literally has not equipped us for. We do not need to memorize things anymore. We have everything we need on our phone. The skills that modern people need today are research skills and being able to tell what is correct news and fake news. We need those kinds of skills, not the skills that we were taught back in school. So that's a little bit of a side note, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that the school system is created to create workers. It is not created to create entrepreneurs. It is not created to help people create and build wealth. It is not created to help people become thought leaders. It's like there are so many pieces missing from this puzzle. So this is one matrix that we are all induced into. We are all conditioned into this. So that means if you want to become a spiritual entrepreneur like me, or if you want to do anything that is sort of off the grid with your life, you are going to have to unprogram a lot of the stuff that you were taught in school. It is time to give yourself permission. It is time to set your own rules. It is time to stop looking for approval from other people. We are all able to create our own little worlds on the internet, including making money from those little worlds. But that's never going to happen if we continue to buy into the programming that we were taught to think. So if we are taught to obey the rules, wait to be chosen, think that we're going to get rewarded for our hard work with a gold star at the end of the day, we are probably not going to be living up to our potential in life. And that can apply to so many different areas of your life, not just your work life. So that is one area of programming that you need to think about that is keeping you locked into the matrix. The second area of programming, and this is a very big, very generalized one, this is religious programming. So I know that probably some of you are watching this that don't really identify as typically religious. But the thing is, in North America, the North American culture and Western European culture is incredibly puritanical in its values. And that means that many of us have soaked up this puritanical way of looking at the world, which is a religious way of looking at the world, even though we don't realize it. So something that was making me think about this today, I saw somebody tweet on Twitter and it said something like, we have all been brainwashed into thinking that we have to earn a living. that we have to earn a living. Now think about that for a second. That also implies that we need to earn our right to stay alive, that we are not inherently worthy of living here on this planet unless we're working hard. Now that is a fundamental puritanical view that is completely not spiritual in my world and in my book. If we are limitless potential and if we are limitless love, we do not have to earn our way into society. We are born deserving. We are born worthy. Am I telling you to go quit your job? No, but what I'm telling you is that this whole mentality of having to work hard or having to be good or having to, follow the rules, all these very similar things to the school system have come from this religious programming. And unless we are able to wake ourselves up from it, we are going to get stuck in it. So that means you're gonna get stuck in the capitalism treadmill, which means I'm gonna work hard, and if I work harder, I'm gonna make more money, which sadly is not the way it works out for basically anybody. There are a lot of hardworking people in the world who are not getting financially rewarded. So a lot of religious programming has a lot of morality in it, and that would be thoughts and ideas like you are born fundamentally a sinner, or your body is inherently evil or a temptation or something like that. And all of these beliefs build shame on to the normal person. We are all experiencing a sense of shame around these ideas, even if you're not in a religious institution. If you're in a religious institution, then there's another layer because you're even more indoctrinated into this way of thinking. But in my way of looking at the world, anything that is telling you that you are not born worthy or that you are not born deserving love is really a lie. In spiritual consciousness, we are all part of source energy. We are all equal. We are all one. Right now, we are here on this earth having a human experience and pretending that we're all these different people experiencing all these limitations, but that is actually not the truth of it. The truth is we are all limitless beings and we're just pretending. So we are not born not deserving. We are not born by accident. We are not born needing to be saved. We are not born for any of this stuff. We are already love. We are the universe. We are this infinite potential. So I believe it is very damaging to think anything otherwise because you're always chasing after something and you're never going to feel like you're enough. You're never going to feel like you are deserving or worthy. You are always going to feel judgment and shame because you are projecting that onto yourself. So that is a whole other area of the matrix that you need to wake up from right now. The last part of the matrix that I've sort of touched upon already is the capitalism matrix, which is basically this idea that we need to hustle and work hard in order to make money. This goes back to that Twitter piece that I was just talking about. But again, we are all born worthy. We are all here on purpose. Capitalism thrives on scarcity and it also thrives on low self-worth. So when your self-esteem is in the toilet and when you feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with you and you have a very big shame wound, that is when marketing is going to get you. When you think that you cannot fit in unless you have this pair of shoes or that bag or this medication or whatever it might be, that is when you are susceptible to marketing. And that's just the side piece of it. But capitalism itself is built on the idea of scarcity. So I'm going to talk about capitalism here, and I'm not meaning that we all get to opt out right now. So fundamentally, capitalism, unchecked capitalism, I find extremely problematic, and I'm going to explain why in a second. But I also understand that this is where we are born. This point in time is where we're born, and it's not like I get to decide, hey, I'm out of this capitalism game and I get to go live on the island and barter for the rest of my life. So I still need to figure out how to exist within the capitalism matrix. But with that being said, let's get into why this is so wrong. Basically, capitalism thrives on somebody getting more money than someone else. So for someone to get rich, it needs somebody else to lose money or become bankrupt or really poor. In the true nature of the universe, there is only abundance. There is no such thing as scarcity. But capitalism has us all hypnotized into thinking that there is. So for example, the diamond industry, we have been hypnotized into believing that these kinds of rocks are extremely rare and extremely valuable, and people will pay thousands and thousands of dollars for them. But they're really just rocks that come from the ground. We have attached all of these artificial attributes and characteristics to this stone, which is really just a stone, which doesn't necessarily have any more intrinsic value in it than this big piece of citrine right here. I know I'm gonna get some diamond person arguing with me about this, but you get the point. The point is that diamonds come from the earth. The point is that this entire physical world is abundant and full of diamonds, but the diamond industry would not be making the money that it is unless it hypnotizes you into thinking that there is scarcity. It's the same thing for basically everything in the capitalist system. In order to make something valuable, we have to create an illusion of scarcity, and scarcity isn't real in the actual abundant universe. So again, I'm not telling you guys that we all just get to opt out and only exist in an abundant universe. I would really like this, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But I think just talking about this and talking about how this is a matrix way of thinking, a way that we are tricked into becoming cogs in the wheel and becoming, you know, the workers for someone else who's making the money, into getting indebted with thousands of dollars of student debt when you are just a teenager. All of this stuff is contributing to this big issue, and we are not going to get out of this issue unless we start talking about it. So I'm not aiming to solve the problem in capitalism in this video, but I just wanted to bring that up as one of the contributing factors. So here is the final piece of the matrix. So I first want you to keep in mind the first three things that I talked about. So we have the school system telling you not to think for yourself, to sit down and follow the rules blindly. We have the religious background telling you that you are inherently evil, that your body is evil, that you should be ashamed of yourself for so many different things. And we have capitalism that is telling you that if you are not busy and working all of the time, that you don't have the right to exist. So we have all of this layer of matrix around us already. Now, let's think about the messages your parents told you. So I wanted to preface this part with the first three parts because of course your parents were born into the matrix as well. So the things that they taught you may have been incredibly well-meaning, but they were probably packed with all of these ideas from all these different places because they were taught to think those things, and they think that they need to teach you to think those things in order to create a good person. So I want you to think back to all the times your parents told you something like money is hard to earn, or rich people are lazy, or that you shouldn't wear skirts that short, or whatever it happens to be. The stuff that we get from our parents is by far the most damaging stuff, because that is the stuff that we absorbed into our precious little minds before the age of 7. So any of the limiting ideas you have about yourself, any of the shame experiences, any of the trauma experiences you had as a child probably created your own little individual matrix, and our little individual family matrices can be very complicated. So I can't get into the specifics really of this without getting into a really big topic, but just understand that these things that your parents taught you, these limiting beliefs, these negative programs, are also keeping you tapped into a matrix, into believing that you are not as powerful and worthy and deserving as you inherently are. So this might look different for every different person who's watching this, but I just want you to start to become aware of this. And again, this isn't about you getting angry with your parents or blaming them for raising you wrong. We are all imperfect humans being raised by imperfect humans. I say this in all the videos. And this isn't about placing blame on them. It's just understanding that this is the nature of being human. We are going to have these experiences and these ideas that are not serving us as adults today, and that in fact may have turned into blocks that are preventing us from being our truest selves. And it is up to us, even though we didn't choose those things, even though we didn't deserve those things, it is up to us, it is our mission to heal those things. So much of the work that I do, manifestation work, personal development work, this is really all about healing, because when you heal your stuff, when you increase your self-worth, when you can really expand what you think you deserve, that is when you start to manifest the things that you want and get past the blocks that are keeping you stuck. So that is really what I'm talking about here, how to get out of the matrix. Right now, if you don't do this work, if you do not question the way that you think, if you don't question the experiences you had as a child, if you don't question any of that stuff, you are going to walk around in your adult life, in your autonomous adult life, believing that people should tell you what to do, that following the rules blindly will get you a reward, that you are inherently shameful, that your body is shameful, that there's something wrong with you. You will believe that you should be struggling and hustling and working hard, and if you just work harder, you're gonna make money. You're gonna be going around through life doing all of that, feeling super exhausted and wondering, what is wrong with me? Why am I not happy? This is it, my friends. This is it. This is why you're here today. You need to wake up from the matrix. And basically that means going in, seeing these ideas, noticing where these beliefs came from, and reprogramming them for something new. So every single one of these ideas that I've talked about today, and I know I went through a whole bunch of them pretty quickly, so your head might be spinning a little bit, so I'm sorry for that. But the point is that these ideas, these concepts, these constructs, these are all limitations. These are all keeping you small. They are keeping you moving forward. They are putting you on a treadmill of life where you just keep going and keep feeling stressed and keep feeling overwhelmed and keep feeling like the world forgot about you. That is what is going to keep happening. And to be fair, a lot of people are happy living like this. If you can go through life and not wonder about these things, or you don't experience this discomfort, then you are probably okay staying within the matrix and not questioning your reality and not reprogramming your mind. But there's many of us that wake up one day as an adult and feel like something is deeply wrong. Wonder where we went wrong. Wonder what's wrong with us. Can you relate to that? Because I certainly can. So what I really want to say to you, if that is you right now, is that there is nothing wrong with you. Nothing has gone wrong in your life. This is just the default life. This is you being Neo in the first world before he wakes up. You are just seeing this one little way of viewing the world. And every single one of those limitations is making your world smaller and smaller, and making the opportunities you see in the world smaller and smaller. The way I think about this is waking up to another dimension, expanding your consciousness. It's like one of those magic eye paintings, drawings. Did you ever see those? Like when you look at this kind of blurry, abstract thing and you let your eyes relax and then something pops out at you. That is basically what waking up from the matrix feels like. It's like you're still in the same world. I'm still here living in this capitalist, puritanical environment. I'm still there, but I've opened the door to consciousness, and now I can see the magic eye. The 3D thing has popped out and suddenly things make so much more sense. So that could be describing a spiritual awakening. In this video, I'm talking about this as waking up from the matrix. All of these ideas have stacked on top of each other and on top of each other and on top of each other and on top of each other, and they are holding you down. They are keeping you stuck, and they are getting in the way of you remembering the truth. And the truth is that you are a spiritual being. You are infinite potential, and you are inherently worthy and deserving of love. Take a deep breath. Breathe that in, really understand what that feels like, okay? All of these concepts today and so many other ideas that I didn't specifically name, these are the things that you need to become aware of and reprogram. And me just making this video and alerting you to this fact is going to connect you with your true potential as a conscious creator, as somebody who can decide what they want in their life and has the power to go out there and make that happen. So a lot of people get stuck in this point. They are like, oh yes, I want something, I want this job, I want this boyfriend, I want whatever. But they get stuck there. And the reason they get stuck there is because they don't do the healing work. It's because they don't go deeper. They don't do the reprogramming. So it's like you are still trapped in this 3D matrix and you haven't done the work to take away the limitations that will truly let you expand. So that is really, in a nutshell, what I do and what the things that I teach and talk about are here to do. I am here to help you remove your limitations so that you can pop out of the matrix, suddenly see the world of possibility that was always around you, because the world is abundant and infinite, and it is just us silly humans playing these stupid games like capitalism that's pretending it isn't. I know probably somebody is going to write in and complain about that part of the video, but you guys, The economy is a made up freaking concept. And I think humans, we can do better. But that's besides the point. So now that I've shown you what life feels like in the Matrix, I've explained where these Matrix ideas came from, and I've kind of told you how to get out of it. I'm just going to give you a few little tips on how you can start to reprogram your mind and break free of your matrix. Number one is to really start to notice your mind and really start to notice when it is starting to buy into matrix beliefs. So our brains do this all the time. We all have a jerk brain, and our jerk brain loves to create limitations, fear, and a lot of freaking drama. But anytime that your brain is making a lot of noise, waving its arms around and trying to get you to freak out, it is up to you to remember that you are in charge and you do not have to take the bait. You do not have to go into the drama. You do not have to go into the fear, and you do not have to spend hours of your life fantasizing about negative consequences because your brain thinks that you need to do that in order to prevent those things from happening. That whole thing does not make any sense, yet it does not stop our brains from trying to do that. But everything that is happening in here is really a habit, and even those bad habits we have control over. But the very first step to gaining control is to noticing what's happening. So it is really hard to watch what your brain is doing all the time. So that's why I'm suggesting starting to watch out for when it's starting to act up and make a bunch of noise. Maybe your brain likes to make a bunch of noise at 3 a.m. and have you worrying about something you said to somebody in 7th grade. Sometimes my brain does that, but the moment you can start to notice this and notice where the patterns are and understand what these patterns are really for, then you can start to get control back. The second thing is to look for your limiting beliefs. Start to notice when a voice inside of your little brain tells you no, tells you you're too old, tells you you're too fat, tells you you're too stupid, tells you you're too whatever. Notice what those beliefs are and really understand, again, this is just fear in disguise. This is fear playing the inner mean guy or the inner mean girl, trying to push your buttons and trying to keep you quote unquote safe. So anytime your brain is doing this, it is opting into the matrix. It's opting into the things that it was told were true in the world, but you do not have to opt in. You are a conscious creator and you are consciously creating your life with your beliefs. And if a belief is not serving you, if it is not taking you where you want to go, why hold on to that? I know though your brain is going to fight you on this one because our brains really want to be right. They want to be right more than they actually want the thing that we really want. So they get in our way by refusing to change. But if you understand that and if you can start to realize how these things are limiting you and realizing that you are choosing these things and that you don't have to choose them, that will give you a new sense of power. So the third point is to do some brain reprogramming, and there are so many different ways of doing this. You can do an NLP hypnosis session, you could do some EFT tapping, or you can do some journaling. And I actually have a manifestation journaling program that is part of my daily routine. I do journaling every single day to, one, help me to notice what's happening in my brain, to two, to start to reprogram those negative beliefs, and three, to help energetically align myself with my desires. If you want to learn about my unique manifestation journaling practice, I'm going to leave a link for that in the show notes. Another thing that you can do is watch a subliminal. This is one of my new favorite kind of tools. I've created a separate subliminals YouTube channel, which is just a bunch of subliminals videos. And these things are really great for just listening on the go, putting them on in the background while you're cleaning or studying or whatever, and letting your brain kind of soak in the info and the vibe that is happening in those. If you want to learn more about the subliminals, I'll leave a link for that in the show notes as well. That's all I have for you today. I really hope this video helped to awaken you, helped you to realize just how many limiting beliefs we have all been programmed with, which are keeping us stuck in this limited 3D matrix. And if you are feeling inspired to reach a higher level of consciousness, to come out into the 4D or 5D world, then you need to start doing this work for yourself. The way I describe this stuff is that mindset is the key to consciousness. We are all consciousness fundamentally, but we can access more consciousness while we're here if we do this mindset work. So really taking this message today that you are already inherently deserving and you are such a powerful creature. You are a conscious creator and you are born to do amazing stuff in this life. But you need to take it to the next level and actually do the work to remap all the old junk up in here. And once you can do that, that is when you can really step into your power. But you've got this. Just keep going with it and keep committing to your practice, and you will start to see so many more possibilities all around you. It's amazing, my friends. I really highly recommend it. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much, my beautiful soul fam. If you like this video, please give me a like. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy manifesting.